Oh, good morning everybody. Iain from RTO here. Hope you're all well. After yesterday's day of reflection, remembering and talking to a couple of people, I've been talking to a couple of my cohorts who do a lot of background stuff on the channel. I decided that I'm going to carry on as normal. Thank you for some of your messages from yesterday, really appreciated it. It makes, got new friends everywhere, really good. But before we start today's show, there was a bit of sad news yesterday. Sarah Harding from Girls Aloud sadly lost her battle with cancer, age 39. Although, she doesn't fall into my sort of music, it's always sad when we lose musicians, singers, that she was very successful. It's just very, very sad. She was only 39 years old. Anyway, let's move to nice things. Today, got a real special one for you. We're going to be looking at the albums of an Australian rock band called Koritni. Now, if you've never heard of them, you will do by the end of watching this. If you like Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, Van Halen and AC/DC, you'll like these. And The Answer, all the same thing. How did I get into these? Well, if you remember it's a little while back now, I did on the album artwork show, we looked at the album artwork of Mark Wilkinson, who illustrates for Fish and Marillion. We did in the early part of their career, and then I did one on. I found bands that he'd done artwork for, and one of them was this band Koritni. And I looked into them, and they said, their influences are Aerosmith, and I thought, I'll give these a listen, as you do. And I thought, wow, I loved them from the minute I heard them. Luckily all their albums are on Spotify, so into my library their albums went, and I have been listening to them for such a long time now. I have them on quite a lot. I thought I wanted to share it with you guys, because I think you need to go and check these out. If you like basic rock and roll, if you love AC/DC, you're going to love these. So they were formed, they're all from around Sydney in Australia. They were formed out of the ashes of a band called Green Dollar Colour. Now, I had a look into these, and they made one album, and there's not much about it. So for the first time ever in RTO's history, I am going to include that album in this ranking because it is good. I thought I'd keep it all together. So the band is actually, the lead singer is Lex Koritni. Guitars are Eddie Santoro, who is French. Luke Cruden on guitars, Chris Brown on the drums, and Dean Matt Hunter on the bass. So they've released 5 studio albums. So you've got the Green Dollar Colour album, which I cannot find anything about them except their albums on Spotify. And they did a covers album as well, and I'm ranking them all because I think we've got to listen to. And there's a couple of live albums which are good as well, but it's basically what we're talking about today. So we're going to look at 7 albums, including that compilation and the Green Dollar Colour. So that's all been put together, listened to it, and I've come up with the ranking. So let's start. So coming in at number 7, it was a third release from 2010, and it is the compilation album No More Bets. Really good album. It's got a mixture of their own stuff acoustically and some great covers. So have a look. The first song is Dance Mama Dance. Now this is a Hal David and Burt Bacharach tune, first released by Joanne and the Streamliners in 1965. It's not a bad version, it's an acoustic version and it is really, really good. Now I'm not a great fan of these unplugged albums, but for some reason these seem to have got it right. Keep Me Breathing. Now I looked at versions of this, and the one I think they've done is an acoustic version of a song by Nightcore. Never heard of it myself. It's really good and it's a good tune anyway. Then they do a version of Under the Overpass, Midnight Oil. This is an acoustic version and it's not a bad cover. Hold On is a track off their debut album, which we'll be talking about. It's quite a nice version of the song we'll talk about later. Emotional Audit is actually a green dollar colour track, which we'll talk about later, but it's a good version. Then we get an acoustic version of Bon Jovi's Wanted, Dead or Alive. This is actually quite good. Very, very good cover version. You don't get many cover versions of this song. It is one of my favourite Bon Jovi songs, and yes, it's a very good version. Then we get a live version of a song off their debut album called Sick Again. Nothing to do with Led Zeppelin's. Really good track. Then we get probably one of the best covers of Robert Johnson's Sweet Home Chicago. If you want to remember, if you've seen, everyone's seen the film Blues Brothers. It's not like it, but it's very similar. Great version. Heaven Again is another song off their debut album, which is pretty cool. And then we get an acoustic version of AC/DC's, yes, AC/DC's Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution. It is absolutely out the top drawer. Brilliant, brilliant. Then we get another cover. I've Had the Time of My Life. Yes, the song from Dirty Dancing. This is better. It's an acoustic version, but very, very good. Then we get Not Your Man. This is an acoustic version of one of their songs off their debut album, and it is pretty solid. Again, like Ain't No Love Song, another one of my favourite songs off their debut album, which we'll be talking about in a minute. Okay, then we get a live, I think it's a live version of a Priest classic, Living After Midnight, and it's a great cover. Brilliant. Now, the next track. Now, who would you thought it? A rock version of Michael Jackson's Thriller. Yep, they've done it, and it sounds absolutely brilliant. I love it. Okay, this is a compilation with some acoustic versions of their own songs, but it's a good album, solid album, and I've listened to it about 4 or 5 times now, and I'm really enjoying it. So I give it an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10, and the reason it's halfway is because it is a cover album and compilation, but it's still a brilliant album. Okay, coming in at number 6 then is their debut album from 2007, Lady Luck. Great album, great debut. This is the first track, Red Light Joint. Nice little rocker. It's got some great riffs, and it does remind me a little bit of early Aerosmith in this track. Terrific track. Under the Overpass. This is the rocky version, and it's a little bit rockier than Midnight Oil's version. It is really, really good. Heaven Again, I love that opening riff on this. This has got a solid rock track. Highway Dream, solid track. Sounds a little bit like AC/DC, but who cares? They are really good. Never Say Goodbye. This reminds me of the Irish band which we've looked at in a previous show. The Answer. Good boogie track. Good stuff. Sick Again. Yeah, this is nothing to do with Led Zeppelin. It's a great song. Nice bass line in this. It's one of them slow rock songs. Not Your Man. Great riffing in this. It's just good old rock and roll. AC/DC style. Terrific. I See the Light. Love this song. Got some great guitar in it. Great solo. Fantastic. Starving Fast. A really good song. Some great riffs in this. Solid. Brilliant. Then we get the title track, Lady Luck. Oh, the guitar solo in this is fantastic. The driving bass line, it's just basic rock and roll, and it's fantastic. Then we get a cover of the Beatles song, Got to Get You Into My Life. I know lots of other people have covered it as well. We'll be here all day going through who's covered that. But it's a great song and they do a fantastic version. Then the final track on the album, Ain't No Love Song. Great blues rock track. Best song on the album, terrific. Okay, this is a debut album from a band that were going to get better. And I've got no problem with this album. I wish I could give them all a higher ranking and level, but that's cheating. But I'll give it an RTO ranking of 5.5 because it's just a solid album. Okay then, coming in at number 5. This is the album that Lex Koritni did when he formed a band called Green Dollar Colour, self-titled, came out in 2005. This is a terrific album. As far as I'm concerned, this, although it's called Green Dollar, it just sounds like a Koritni album. So that's why it's been included, because it does need mentioning because it is really good. First track, Dirty Letter, great rocker, nice riffs, great drumming on this song. I don't know who's playing on it because I couldn't find it. I'm still searching. Second track is Emotional Audit. This is the rock version of the song that we heard, that I talked about on the compilation. Very early Aerosmith sound. Got a great drum and bass, very tight, superb song. Let It Go. Some nice driving riffs on this. What a good song this is. First time I heard this, I thought, God, these are good. Foot to the Floor, another great track. Bit Van Halen, very early Van Halen, terrific drumming as well. Then we get Heart Donation. This is the best track on the album, and this sound that they've got, it'll go right through their catalogue. Great track. I Want to Know. The bass line in this is just amazing. Slow blues song. Driving bass that keeps this song moving at a really, gets your heart into it. Fantastic. No Regrets. Great, very Van Halen. I'd say round about Women and Children First, that sort of era of Van Halen. You can imagine David Lee Roth singing this. It's got a great solo in it as well. Lex Koritni is a really good singer. Expectations, more driving riffs, foot tapping, head banging. It's addictive. It's an addictive sound. Top of the World, solid track. That's all I'll say. It's just solid rock and roll. Mess with Love. This is a great fast rocker. It's got a great guitar solo. It's got a thumping bass line. It's very AC/DC, and you can just imagine Angus on stage doing his thing to this song. That's how good it is. And then You Fed Me Lies, another song that's influenced by the sound of Aerosmith. One hell of a song. Okay, technically this is not Koritni, but I had to include it because it is a solid album. I don't know what happened with why the band broke up, but out of it came Koritni, and they carried on. Lex Koritni carried on with what he started with this superb album. There's not a bad track on this album. In fact, there is not one track by this Koritni that I don't like. So I'll give this an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 4, we're now back in with Koritni. Their second album from 2009, Game of Fools. Terrific album again. Not a bad track. Opens up with 155. Solid rocker to start the album. Your foot's tapping within 4 seconds. That's how addictive this band is. I mean, I've only been listening to them to what? 6 weeks at the most. I don't know. I can't remember when I did the Mark Wilkinson show. I know we've only been going since May, but we're churning this stuff out, and you do get lost in time here. But I just love this band. Stab in the Back, great track. Nice vocal from Lex. Good rocker. Roll the Dice, Solid As You Like. Fantastic. V8 Fantasy. Oh, the riffs on this. These riffs come straight out of the Malcolm Young book of riffs. You know, what can you say? You Versus Me. A little bit slower, this is. It's got some great bass lines. The bass line's great. The singing's good, and the drums are very tight. By My Side, you can tell again that they're influenced by bands such as Aerosmith. This is from that middle period of Aerosmith, in that classic time. Really good track. Deranged, again, brilliant. Straight out of Malcolm Young's book of riffs. The drummer and the bass player in this band are very tight. Great singer. And this is a song that was from probably you could imagine Bon Scott singing. Brilliant song. Nobody's Home. Okay, you've got all this technical rock and this symphonic metal, and I love it. But at the end of the day, give me good old-fashioned rock and roll, basic rock and roll, and I love it as well. This Nobody's Home is just like that. It's just basic rock and roll. There's nothing you can't dislike about that track. Game of Fools, the title track, brilliant track. Again, AC/DC influence. I just love this sound. Keep Me Breathing, one of my favourite tracks by the band, full stop. Love the driving rhythm and bass in this, and the guitar solo is brilliant. Tornado Dreaming, more solid stuff. Again, this song is influenced by one of their other bands they were into, Guns N' Roses. It's got that Welcome to the Jungle start, really good. Then it goes into Tornado Dreaming Part 2. It's just continuation of Tornado's Dreaming, some great guitar solos, great riffs, terrific track. The Devil's Daughter, it starts off very slow, builds up into a nice rocker, very good track. Again, solid second album from Koritni, very good album, not a bad track. You put it on and you just let it go, because you don't want to skip anything. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 3, the fifth album from 2015, Night Goes On For Days. Again, solid. It was very hard to rank all these because there's not much between them. First track, Horns Up, solid rocker, great start to the album. Try to Live a Bit. I love the guitar at the beginning of this. It's just pure guitar, electric guitar, plug it in, no effects. Very Rolling Stones sort of start, then it goes into a good old-fashioned rock song. Superb. Rock and roll ain't crime. Again, so AC/DC. And that's probably why I like this band. I just love the sound, that rock and roll sound. Carousel. This is what I call Koritni Unplugged. But they are very good at it, and it's, for an unplugged song, it rocks. Title track, Night Goes On for Days. This is a great track. It starts off slow, goes into a rocky bit, back to slow. Fantastic track. Woman in Love, another unplugged song, but a terrific song. Seal the Deal. This has got some great drumming in it. Driving riffs, tight engine room. It's an AC/DC sort of track. You can imagine Angus Young doing the business on this. Breakdown, another solid track. Bass line in this is something else. Great bass player, I can't think of his name. Let's have a look. Yeah, Dean Matt Hunter, what a bass player he is. And the drummer, who's solid as like Chris Brown. Fantastic combination. They really are good. Let's go back down to, because I don't know much about this band at the moment, but I still love them. Okay, where did we get to? Oh dear, I've lost my place now. Here we go. Mississippi Delta. Title just gives it away, doesn't it? When you get a track that starts with slide guitar and that sort of Delta sound, pricks my ears up. Brilliant. It's a short track, but then it goes into Water of Life, which continues on from that sort of Mississippi Delta track. Great track, favourite track on the album. Absolutely brilliant. Sorry. Little Man. It's a mellow track, acoustic, superb track. Then we get Waking Up the Neighbours. This is brilliant. It's got nothing to do with the Bryan Adams song, but it's a rocker, and you get in. There's little bits where they're talking. I'll turn it back up. Great way to end this album. Again, what can I say? It's a fantastic album. It's very hard to rank these because they're all the same. Very consistent band. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 2 is their current album, The Six, from 2018, Rolling. First track, Life Away. Good opening track, crunching riffs. As I said, this band are so consistent. It does what it says on the tin. Title track, Rolling. Really great track. It's got a great bass line and got delicate guitars in this. It's still rocky, but it's not heavy. Brilliant track. Back for More. Right little rocker this is. Gets your feet started and the head going from the off. Great rock and roll. Looking So Fine. Another one of their unplugged out songs. But for an unplugged song, it rocks. It's quite a heavy acoustic song. Great track. Take It All. Solid. More of that lovely rock and roll that I do love. Save My Soul. The drumming's great. The bass drum on this is awesome. I don't know how they mic'd it up, but boy does it go. Then the bass comes in and your feet are tapping, riffs coming in, and Lex Koritni's vocal on this is absolutely amazing. He is so underrated. Keep Thinking of You, my favourite track on this album. The riffing is just great. This is a heavy, slow track, but it's got some awesome guitar. Do or Die, great little rocker. The drumming on this from Chris is awesome. And Matt's bass line, it's so addictive. Run Out of Gas, more of these acoustic sounds, but as I said, it's a great track. Hellraiser. AC/DC. Fantastic track. Rocks, great guitar solo, brilliant stuff. Bottle of Wine. I've not been into this band for very long. I just love these semi-acoustic songs they do. Another absolutely brilliant album. I mean, this band already are becoming my second favourite band from Australia. They are so consistent. These albums are terrific, and this latest one is brilliant. I hope we get more from this band, and I give it an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Coming in at number 1, this is the one that really caught my eye when I was looking at album covers by Mark Wilkinson. I love the artwork on this. As you can see, it's a brilliant cover, and this is the 4th album from 2012. Welcome to the Crossroads. To date, this is their best album. Brilliant stuff. First track, Down at the Crossroads. This features a guitarist from the Australian Jeff Scott Soto. A song that starts with slide guitar at the beginning gets my attention straight away, and it just goes into a song that's got hooks from that first note. Awesome rocker. You just can't get any better than that. I love it. Then we got another track featuring someone called Rusty Brown. Great rocker, great bass line. Drums are solid on this, terrific. Party's Over. More strong riffs. Oh, this album is full of these riffs. You just can't get enough of riffing. Great bass line. Then we get a thing called Now a Word from Our Sponsors. This is an intro into the next track. Basically, it's someone flicking through a radio and you get all that, you know, like Wish You Were Here and Forgotten Sons and all that sort of thing. And then it stops and then it goes boom, and it goes into TV's Just a Medium. Great rocking. It features Jeff Walters on guitars on this. Nice rocker. Lost for Words. Yeah, this one's quite radio friendly, bit commercial, but it's still a great track. Sydney in the Summertime. I love this track. Best track on the album, and it's my favourite track by the band. Got everything from great singing, great riffs, great bass line, great hook, brilliant. Then we get Sometimes. Another great song. Starts off with a nice little guitar solo. No riffs, just great guitar solo. Got my attention. Such a good track. Money Talks. It Says Goodbye. A nice little rocker this is. It's just basic rock and roll. Let's Go Crazy. As it says in the title, it is. It's a belter. It's fast. It's furious. With a kicking guitar solo. Heavy drums. Fantastic. Then we get Hold On. They did an acoustic version on their compilation album. This is a ballad. It's a great song. It must have been hanging around in their backlog for a little while because the No More Bets Please come out in 2010. So this has been hovering for 2 years, and it's a great song. Take It Like a Man. What a way to end the album. Rocks all the way through. This is a superb album. And I can't believe I just got it from that cover. But as I said, they are fast becoming one of my favourite bands from Australia. Australia produce some pretty good bands, but they're straight out of the AC/DC thing, and this is their AC/DC sound is more like the Bon Scott AC/DC more than the Brian Johnson, and it's just nice that solid sound from them early days of AC/DC is being carried by a band like this. So I give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Guys, I've put quite a few tracks by them in the playlist. Go and listen to them, and all their albums, every single one of them, including the Dollar Green one, are all on Spotify. So if you want to go and have a listen yourself to all the albums, they're there too. I'd love to know what you guys think of them. So can you put your comments in the comments box? Enjoy listening to these. I did, and I'm hooked. Okay, so we got another show to do. It's classic album today, and I've picked one of my favourite albums from the 80s, Blondie's Parallel Line. It's a greatest hits in its own right. Great album, so I'll be having a look at that. Until then, I will see you later. Take care for now.